Hey everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Cathartic Ruination. We are on 14 today. I know it's been a while, but I'm going to be honest, I've been having a hard time digging, not digging, digging deep down and finding the motivation to...
So again, I guess we just got to keep doing this. What about your friend?
Okay, look, I was getting to you. We were talking about my current issues. God, why doesn't it make it about you? Got my co-host today,
Are they gonna be I'm sorry, what?
Nick P. and Dexterfield Morning Chaps. It's just us running the light crew tonight. So
Yes.
This is a very interesting episode because this is really spur of the moment.
No, I usually read 3 books or at least, or do a lot of research on anything I want to present because I just want people to have information. That's the most important part. But you know what? I felt like we needed to just do something, and this was what I came up with, and I actually feel kind of good about it. So yeah. I don't know if anyone else out there has been struggling recently, but just know that I care and I'm here for you. Oh, you, Dex? You doing all right?
Dex is being
okay.
He is having some issues looking at the monitor screensavers.
Oh fuck! I didn't know that's what was happening. That's so man. Fair, man. We should just turn it off because it's dangerous. Yeah. It'll fuck me all up.
So I believe basically what you were getting at is normally you do a hefty amount of research, looking into things, making sure that your information is at least 70% correct, because, come on, who can ever be 100%?
I mean, you can't ever be 100% correct about anything because you weren't fucking there when it comes to, history,
exactly.
So...
Exactly.
But you can be methodic in your catharticism.
Yeah.
But I guess currently this episode is being fueled by Handmaid's Tale and Texas.
Yes, that was what I was going to start with, funny enough, was the new law that was passed through the Senate September 1st in Texas. Because it is something that I feel passionate about, and it's something that brought me great sorrow. I was listening to the news this morning, and I was just like, man, there's just so much happening around the world, period, that's heavy and always that. So... And this in particular, Texas passed a law, if you haven't heard, that makes it illegal to have an abortion any later than 6 weeks. 6 weeks and on, it's illegal. Which, if you've ever been pregnant, if you found out before you were 6 weeks, good on you, mate. Because I found out at 8. I was screwed, and I was in Texas when I was pregnant, so that's also another reason why I was just wow. Because being down there and the resources and the information that I got down there about pregnancy compared to up here in Colorado was insanely polar. It was enough to shake me.
Wow.
So,
it's alarming.
It's really crazy, and honestly, I'm so glad I moved back here and got everything happening here, because with the way my birth turned out, it was tough, So 6 weeks and on, it's a crime now for you to get an abortion, and there is no clause in there for incest or rape. There's no,
because those are things that never happen, especially in the South.
Right?
Never happens.
I mean, just
out there.
Period, man. But yeah, no, incest and rape, there's no clause for that, so that if people have extenuating circumstances outside of cream pied for their will, if you're consenting to receive this, that's one thing. But if you literally had no say in the matter, that's something that really bothers me. Now victims don't have resources and are going to be forced to keep the evidence of their trauma, and that shit really doesn't sit well with me, being a rape baby especially.
Not necessarily that they will keep that reminder, that lifetime reminder of when they were powerless, when they were helpless, because they can always put them up for adoption, which,
that's
again,
fair.
if you really cared that much about actual human life, there would be more laws, there would be more tax incentives for adopting.
Yeah.
Than there would be
definitely.
For fighting abortion.
And more people would care about that than wearing fucking masks. Because somehow I feel like the same people who are saying it's my body and my right to wear to not wear a mask, and you're not going to tell me how to control my fucking body, are the same people who are influencing these types of votes or afford.
And interestingly enough, they are also the same people who say all lives matter.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So, and it's just
almost
ridiculous.
like there's a correlation between these things.
Yeah, you'd think. But yeah, and I mean that the other part about it that was really surprising to me was the extra like implications and emphasis on this that was just passed. Anyone who tries to help a woman get treatment in Texas, it could be considered aiding and abetting, and they're liable to be sued or face criminal charges to a certain degree of some, so that aiding and abetting for helping someone terminate a pregnancy, that's a fucking thing now. And we live in a state where there are no regulations on abortion. The last election, it got kind of close, actually. It was like a 60-40 around
Very
there.
close.
And I was so upset about it. I'm like, oh my fucking God. We are one of the few states in our nation where if you have extenuating circumstances or whatever, you can come here and get treatment. And we have good treatment here for, gynecological and things like that.
Right.
So, yeah, that to me, like the fact that they were so willing to pass this through. I think it was a 4-5 vote or something like that they passed it on. And now other states are going to feel like they have a ground to stand on because Texas did some fuck shit.
Yeah.
It's usually how it gets started on the federal level. All it takes is one Lone Star state.
Well, and what bothers me so much about that is that it's not going to be the people who have the financial and not even just financial, just the resources, period, to get the procedure. They're not going to be the ones impacted by those people who have money, cars, and time to drive 9 hours out of state to get the procedure done. It's not going to be those people who are hurt. It's going to be the people who are victims. It's going to be the people in lower income areas who don't have the same resources or education. Because if you think that living in Texas in the fucking slums in the hood I lived in Mesquite, Texas. It was the fucking hood. I'd never seen the hood until I moved there before. I wasn't even allowed to walk to the corner store by myself.
And you see, and the thought process that they want you to have, the state of mind that they want you to have is going to be, if you didn't want to get pregnant, well, then you shouldn't have dressed like that, or you shouldn't have spread your legs at that age. As if they've never heard of rape. I mean, I know it just got created in like the 2000s. It never existed before then. Rape has never been a concept in like human history.
Rape wasn't real until Google said so.
Yeah, exactly.
Wikipedia confirmed it.
And it starts with the eyes, and it ends apparently in a Texas politician's daughter.
I will push everything off this table.
I mean, again, this is clearly the thought process that they want you to have.
Well,
if you didn't want to get pregnant, you wouldn't have got pregnant. Because again, rape is not a thing. It doesn't exist. Right?
Yeah, but this is the same fucking state that also has sexual education based at abstinence as their primary. So anybody who's fucking doesn't even have the education. And mind you, if you've listened to previous episodes, you will know that these schools that are having this abstinence-based and religious-based sexual education are the ones being government funded. So this is all the government right here that's setting us up for fucking failure. Because I can't even sit at the lunch table and eat a salad and read a book without people looking at me like I'm a fucking alien because I know the name, because I know what daikon is, daikon radish, and they'd never fucking heard of Gouda cheese. Like, no. They didn't even have provolone as an option at Subway down there because nobody would fucking order it. Nobody knew what provolone cheese was.
Because if you can't spell it, it doesn't belong in your body.
So shut up.
They can spell nicotine, so that's why they have CHOP.
No, I never had a pickle soaked in Kool-Aid before until I had gone to the convenience store and got. Yeah, I'd never heard of that before, and I was like, oh my god, this. They're like, oh yeah, it's a Southern Texas thing, and I'm like, maybe you guys should like be famous for things like education instead of pickles and Kool-Aid, but whatever, go off, I guess.
Well, I mean, just my own personal opinion looking at the political system, I don't see it left wing, right wing, Democrat, Republican.
It's still a fucking bird. It's just the left wing or the right wing.
It's got to fly together.
It's all the same animal.
And they usually fly in conjunction. So with these types of topics, I noticed that their whole message, if you have a baby, that's your problem because you could have done exactly what we did and just pull out.
That's what you did there.
Yes, Danny, please tell me how well the pull-out feels. And that's precisely...
I don't know if we're talking about pulling out of Afghanistan. I don't know what the fuck we're talking about pulling out of as a nation.
I'm using as many entendres as I can catch for that. Yes.
He went with the full build your own adventure.
Oh my God.
Choose left or right.
Welcome
Did you say or no?
What's this new game in this RPG? Oh shit.
You were eaten by a bear.
No? By the way, I think it was a little bit overlooked, but maybe, just maybe, people who are claiming to be, in power or responsible of other people, we should be a lot more critical of them and their actions and these types of decisions that are allowed to happen. But
I agree. This is going to be swept under the rug. And for all we fucking know, states that are similar minded, like Mississippi and Alabama, are going to hop on that fucking train and make it so it's illegal after 6 weeks too. And no matter how you feel, if you're listening to this, no matter how you feel about abortion, and I'm not saying that, we should be just murdering children. That's not my fucking viewpoint on it. But the reality is that people who actually need this service, not the people that you think are going at it. No. The scumbags are going to be scumbags no matter what the laws are.
Period.
The people that actually need this aren't going to be able to get the resources and the help anymore, and it breaks my fucking heart. The story that I heard that really bothered me was this woman who was in Hurricane Ida, and she was supposed to be getting the procedure done in her town. And the laws were not going to be changing within the next week. But then they had a fucking hurricane hit that devastated many states in our country. And if you're listening and you're impacted by this, I'm sorry. I know that after listening to some of the stories, I can't even imagine some of the things people are going through. And this woman could not get to a facility and had to get to Texas and have the procedure done before the laws were passed. And the woman who was who was I said it easily earlier, but she's essentially a fertility specialist. She was explaining how hard it was for her to even get this procedure done before the laws were changed because of how hard they go about it in the first place. You have to have a consultation and hear the risks and talk about it with somebody. And then when you schedule the actual procedure, you have to wait 24 hours between the counseling and the actual procedure before it to happen. So if you're riding that fucking line right there in between weeks of finding out whether you have a fucking kid or not inside your body, then, you're screwed essentially. And she came so close to not being able to get the procedure done just because of a natural disaster and because the only resources she had were staying with family in Texas. So it was really sad. She got the procedure done, but they were it was really stressful. And that alone just threw me off, how fucking hard you have to go just to be able to make these decisions about your own body. It's insane.
There's a lot of insanity going on in that area. And honestly, I would say the only term that it should be illegal to do anything past is for a political career. There needs to be term limits.
True.
You can't have a career politician pandering to a certain demographic if they only have X amount of years to do this job.
Yeah. And just after a certain amount of years that a crime is no longer eligible, rape or murder, what's the
statute?
The statute of limitations.
And remember, people, it's statute. There's two T's.
The thing that blows my mind about the statute of limitations is that someone who committed a crime 15 years ago, you can't try them for that crime in 15 years, but if they had a record of, robbing a 7-Eleven 30 years ago and they were murdered by someone, then that's brought up, especially if they're, someone of color.
Yeah.
So we can not charge them for the fucking crime, but if they die, we can bring it up. So,
which is very interesting because a certain teacher who created the blue eye test, Miss Jane Elliott, will tell
I love
you
Jane
that
Elliott. Oh my
will
god.
tell you that abortion, the only reason people are against it is because it is routed in white supremacy. They need more white babies born so they can keep control.
Yeah.
Again, this is her teaching. I'm not just saying random things to say random things.
No, but
Just look her
and
up.
she also talks about what I was saying, that these families that they're trying to prevent from getting abortions are the ones that have the resources to do it no matter what the laws are. So you're trying to save your fucking race and instead you're like overpopulating the black race. Good job, bro.
You know, I'm not speaking to any specific group, but I will say in some cases, I think late-term abortion should be acceptable all the way up to 96 months.
Oh my fucking
God damn.
Because some ignorance doesn't really show itself until a little later. No, that's
Like,
terrible.
we're not
That was a
wrong.
bad joke, but
Like, I don't know if you're
Wow,
evil if
that
my
there's-
ex is impacting you. Let's find out.
I'm just saying, as a tax-paying American, I feel like we should be able to abort up until the age of 18.
Jesus.
Because they're not legally responsible for anything they do until they're 18, right?
Oh my gosh, right?
So, I mean,
Like, if you fuck up, I
I'm done
get in
with this
trouble.
kid. I'm done with him.
No, seriously, if you
17
fuck
and a
up,
half,
like if
he's
you
a
if
wrap.
you decide you're just gonna keep skipping and not listening to me, I'm the one that has repercussions, bro.
Yeah.
So get it together.
Lilac, hear me out. 18 years of child support or pack of bullets. I'm just saying, one may be cheaper.
Oh my god.
I don't know. Bullets are expensive.
And
Might
we
have
are
to get a
canceled
hammer. No, that's-
officially now. Okay.
Well, no, hey, Chris Rock said, increase the price of a bullet
Yeah.
and watch the body count go down.
I mean,
Oh.
jeez, you're not wrong
If
in
you're
that.
paying $5 a bullet, you're gonna be serious about it.
Well, I mean, yeah, how easily accessible, weapons are and shit is just intense. You
Now-
can't get an abortion, but you can go buy a gun. Get it, girl.
Now, I'm just, because again,
Is that not a late-term abortion?
because people, especially from that region, will tell you that they have a right to bear arms because of the Constitution, but it says nothing about affordable ammunition.
Yeah.
Now, if it's illegal to sell marijuana, crack cocaine, heroin, unless you have a doctorate,
Yeah.
if it's illegal to sell those, how many goddamn machinists and everything will we suddenly have if you can now start selling counterfeit bullets?
Oh my god.
Which is not illegal, is it?
It's
Is it illegal to
just-
make your own ammo?
It's not steel grade. It's just bronze.
You're allowed to make your own ammo, and there's no one to regulate the quality of it. It's like
Yeah, kind of like meth.
I got these.
Because everybody's suddenly a chemist.
call these family dollar bullets. It's for your family.
Like all of a sudden Kmart comes back. Welcome to Clapmart.
Hey, I loved Kmart. We had a Kmart on Kauai before we had a Walmart. Like, we just barely got a Walmart before we had left the island. And we used to go to Kmart and they had a Little Caesars up in there. And I thought Little Caesars pizza was like actually good because we used to go in there and get like a slice of pizza from Little Caesars and they would serve it right there.
Used to be good.
And we would sit down and eat.
And someone told me Walmart is the devil, but
Yeah, and then we moved here and we ate Little Caesars and I'm like, why is it the worst pizza? I mean, it was the only pizza on the island, but I'm just kidding.
Wow.
All right, so should we kick in with what I was talking about?
Oh my gosh, yes, this was so fun to banter
This one is
about.
interesting. All right, I'm gonna play a little something for you guys, and then we'll get into it further. So here it goes.
What's something that you're aware of, but the majority of people just aren't ready to hear?
Chivalry cannot exist without the patriarchy. I said it and I mean it. The concept of certain gender roles of guys paying for stuff or putting their jackets down, pulling out chairs, opening your doors, it's all based in the patriarchy. It exists in this realm where women are weaker and helpless and need a man to do all these things for them. You cannot believe in egalitarianism or equality and still believe in chivalry. It doesn't work like that. That would literally be the definition of having your cake and eating it too. Nah. Also, if you are a supporter of LGBTQ, you cannot be a supporter of chivalry. You just can't. Chivalry promotes gender roles, and if you have people who are attracted to the same sex, then which gender is which, and who's actually performing chivalry? If you get rid of the patriarchy, patriarchy, chivalry goes with it. And then everybody treats everyone exactly the same. That's true equality. But y'all don't want to have that.
Which we really did want to have that.
Which that got us like deep into a whole nother pocket that we were talking about. And
I mean, it's a dive into semantics, but it actually is relevant with what he's saying.
it's very relevant. So,
But how do you feel before we dive into the semantics about just the basics of what he was saying? Do you agree that you feel like it is based on gender roles and that the
if women
queer
are
community...
not weaker, can there be chivalry?
And see, it's terrible because for my answer anyway, I have to kind of thank my parents in this perception. I always took chivalry as an individual act of respect towards another in the area. Opening the door for anyone coming through is a chivalrous act. Quite often, my father would open the door for my mother to get in the car, and before he got to the driver's side door, she would open the door for him to get in as well.
I used to do that, yeah.
And I always perceived that as an equal and balanced activity that both parties participate in chivalry. I'll go one further. There are a few people who may or may not have incurred me, but I'm pretty sure you've heard this statement from me and me only, or at least in this area. Quite often, if a woman's holding the door for me, I'll say, "You're such a gentlewoman." Because that is a chivalrous act in my eyes from your individual perspective to me.
I say you're a lady and a scholar.
Like, oh, you so soft.
So
No, you made it weird.
What else am I here for?
You were like, me and Dex were like, respectfully, and Nick was like, nah.
He's like, nah, touchily.
Oh, madam, you are like the teddy bear I used to lay down with when I was a young man. I want to pee on you.
Oh, very cool, yeah.
Not on the bed, just on a teddy bear. I put it underneath me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
All right, I'm not going to kink shame.
My humps. Anyway, so we looked it up. Chivalry, which came from the chivalric code. The expectations were the code of chivalry was the honor code of the knight. Each of King Arthur's knights swore the oath of chivalry, which included lofty ideas such as protecting the weak and defenseless, obeying those placed in authority. Me and English, we don't like each other. And always speaking the truth, bravery, courtesy, honor, and great gallantry towards women. Now,
so for that definition, it definitely does play along with the gender roles. But both areas that we looked this up and it crossed over have to do with religion, which is the most interesting thing to me.
Yep. And so these are the duties of chivalry: to fear God and maintain his church, to serve the liege lord in valor and faith, to protect the weak and defenseless, to give successor to widows and orphans, to refrain from wanton giving of offense, to live by honor and for glory, and to despise pecuniary reward.
Which essentially means that you're not receiving like a monetary amount or being paid for your service. You're doing it for honor and respect and etc. and God, you know.
So,
and even in there, like I didn't notice that earlier when you're talking about it, but they said to succeed widows and children, which I'm assuming means that if you come across someone who is widowed and has a child, that you take up for them and give them the support system that they would have if they had a man in their household, which actually was very common. If someone close to you in arms would die, then you would, and you were single, you would marry their wife and you would take care of their children.
And 1 second, let's let Google fix my grammar. Oh, you will speak. You will speak, Google. Anyway, fuck you, Google. So basically what it says is secure assistance and support in times of hardship and distress. Support in hardships and distress. So, widows and orphans could there be an orphan, I don't know, that needs to be adopted?
Oh, especially after this, last fucking storm. We don't even know how things are going to go. We haven't even seen the repercussions of that. Biden's just going this weekend to check out the setting and come up with some type of strategic plan for it. So,
Call me whatever you want. Hide it with whatever you want. Anytime people with means go camping, all it is people with means seeing how long they would last being homeless. They're just having fun playing and being homeless. And every time I hear that there's a president or somebody going down to these disaster areas, they're like, yeah, let's go camping. Well, that's all it is for me.
And see, that's really fucking, it's really sad, because when you think about the impact of what these natural disasters have on the community at a whole, people don't think about it to that degree. I wrote a research paper on Katrina when I was in school for an environmental science class that I was in. And then, talking about what we're speaking of right now, chivalry, essentially these men, which is what they were, you couldn't really, I don't think there were female knights that I know of.
No. I'm
pretty sure that was restricted mainly to men.
Joan of Arc is all you hear.
This is the only one? Yeah, that's what I thought. She was French, though. Mm-hmm. And the Catholic Church was, English, I want to say. Yeah. So, yeah. That's how chivalry in general, if you're going by the code, you're a community fucking leader, bro. Like, you're literally taking up for people who can't take up for themselves, and you're pledging to God. So that's why I hate when people even use the term chivalry at this point, because when you look at the terms behind it, it's a religious term, one, and two, it's based upon somebody who's going to take up for people in general. I don't necessarily agree with what he's saying about patriarchy. Yes, because it was a male role, but even in the definition, they're saying you protect women, and the only reason why you would be considered a male role is because it was men pledging to the church to fight in wars for the name of God. They were fighting for England, and they were crusaders. Yeah, that's essentially where it comes from. So it's a very outdated term. And realistically, if you wanted to abide by it to that degree, then you would be a fucking community leader, and you wouldn't just be, as Nick was saying, just playing roles at trying to understand someone else's situation. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it would require a complete and unwavering servitude to be completely chivalrous.
Yeah.
But servitude, or an indigent servitude, is equivalent to slavery. You would have to give yourself to that community and to everyone that's in it, regardless of the circumstance.
Which we know is not a fucking thing.
Exactly.
Because if you even just looked at the impact of Katrina, it happened in 2005, and the conditions that those people were living in, they are still, almost 20 years later, barely recovering from some of those things. And we're not just talking about flooding and water going away. The conditions that these natural disasters create are fucking insane. It completely ruins the sewage and the plumbing in the areas, destroys buildings and the economy in general. Because one, you don't have the monetary flow in the community anymore, and then you're also having to rebuild the community. So these situations, and if they're lower income, like New Orleans and stuff like that, I mean, it's really popular food-wise and Mardi Gras and everything, so they build up a lot of stuff to still make revenue. But when it came down to it, the people that were suffering in lower income, and they didn't rebuild things the way that they did in other areas.
No, and I'm sure New York is not going to get any better treatment. At least the lower economy areas aren't going to get any better treatment from their flooding as well.
Their subways flooded within a fucking hour, man.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania,
New Jersey,
and New York, the tri-state area. I have a lot of history in that area. Yeah, they all got hit real hard. Tornadoes, floods.
Oh my God, yeah. When I heard about the tornadoes too, and
storm, all the same storm, almost like karma or some shit.
Did they ever even do anything
Hurricane
with
Ida,
Flint, Michigan? Did they ever even do anything with Detroit, Flint?
Yeah, they stopped reporting on it.
Yep. Nothing changed.
I don't mean to fucking laugh at that, but God damn it.
That's what they did. They just always been that way. They just stopped telling us about it.
Well, that's the reality of a lot of these communities that have older, infrastructure. And infrastructure, there's actual funding for things to be like built and updated and stuff. It's just like where's the money going to?
Relief money is supposed to be for infrastructure building. Now, Biden got it passed, so why isn't the water fixed? How come we're flooding? Army Corps of Engineers offered in the 40s to set up water aquifers throughout all the states so that no one would ever get flooded again. And yet it keeps happening.
They didn't pass it because they said it would be too expensive to change the equipment out in order for that to become a reality. Which maybe that's the fucking case. But if they had done that in the first place, we wouldn't even be having these discussions.
Well, here's a terrible reality, because I heard one news report that the new levees held up very good against Hurricane Ida, but last I recalled, after Hurricane Katrina, the Army Corps of Engineers said those levees were fine, and the state and local government reinstated and used the same exact rated levees, which were successful against Ida but weren't against Katrina. But the new ones are very successful, even though they have the same exact rating. How come so much additional funding went into upgrading it when all they did was put it back where it was? I don't know. Like you were saying with the money portion, it was Winston Churchill who said it best: "Never let a good disaster go to waste." And this seems to be the common practice in this country.
Well, yeah. I mean,
never about the people.
Fueling is a huge issue in these areas as well. They're not able to get fuel in because of the damage done by the storm. So now if you don't have the ability to get this fuel at the price, or if you are still stuck in this area and you just don't have access to it, like there are so many people stranded that can't get assistance, like emergency rescue. I think they're just now getting to a point where they're able to get in and help people, and it's just like insane. This has been days going on that people are stranded. And
Louisiana saying that the areas may not have power for a month. If you made it out, don't come back.
Well, there are thousands of people across each state who didn't have who their lost power and had to deal with
Where were all those poor New York citizens gonna go? Where?
You mean the ones with schizophrenia that can't get to their meds?
Yeah.
The same place they've been going. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody really cares.
And that's just the reality.
It's not.
Unfortunately,
it's weird. It's like you don't have an ant infestation if you see an ant dragging a Dorito across your carpet.
Just one. Yeah.
You suddenly have an ant infestation when you have company over and they too spot that single ant dragging a Dorito across your carpet.
Yeah, it's the image.
Like that's all
Like you would not give a damn about that if nobody else was in the room. Yeah.
Everybody who's impacted by Hurricane Ida, pull out. Courtesy of your government.
God damn it. Speaking of pulling out, there was always a conversation that was being had, and again, I'm being bombarded with content from The Handmaid's Tale repeatedly.
I am a part of that.
Just completely bombarded. And it brought up a question for me that you always hear and you always see in media, in even backstories in TV shows to help you see somebody as something, a victim or a hero. And a concept came to me that I'm like, we have seen, and most people support, forcing people to be heterosexual. I don't remember, or I have not come in contact with so many situations of somebody actually forcing their offspring to be gay. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. I'm just saying we see a whole lot more of the other way around.
Well, I mean, think about it like psychologically. Usually the reason behind somebody trying to sway someone's sexuality is a control move, one based off of either religion or based off of image of other people. So it doesn't have necessarily to do with if they even care about the happiness of that person. It's about their own motives. Whereas on the other way around, if you are somebody who is in the position of a different demographic, you think of things from a different viewpoint. You know what I mean? You're not going to be as worried about the image of your kid having sex with whoever if you're not having sex with the normative. I think the psychology behind it is kind of different than if you are just like doing a normal heterosexual relationship.
Because right now, if you're anywhere on TikTok or Twitter, you see Lil Nas X wilding the hell out.
Oh my god.
Wilding the hell
fucking
out.
pregnancy little advertisement. He had a photo shoot with People magazine with a like prosthetic of him being pregnant. And he's on TikTok all over with like his baby due September 17th, his industry baby due September 17th.
You know, and again, you will see all these people jumping into the comment section. Lil Nas X is destroying the kids. Like, look, if Tim wants to suck a dick, Tim gonna suck a dick.
Doesn't matter how you feel about it.
Lil Nas X is not gonna make or break Timmy's dick sucking adventures.
It really isn't. It really isn't. And honestly, there's women out there that also don't suck dick. So if Tim's gonna do it for you, why the fuck not? I mean, good. Again, look.
And that comes back to our last episode of me feeling like inclusive sex education should be a fucking thing where we talk about not just heterosexual fertilization sex and all aspects of it, because then it wouldn't be so fucking weird to talk about.
And that doc, you were listening to some book on tape when a doctor was saying, during the younger years, children, which this will easily get somebody canceled, and I'll explain why in a minute. He said children should do nothing but oral in their childhood. I'm like, wow, that's a wild ass thing to say. And my only thought process to somebody who would picture that in their head and then jump online and say, you guys are pedophiles, are deep down pedophiles.
But yeah, I mean, because I immediately, when you said that, I didn't jump to the image. I jumped to, it would make sense for them to explore their bodies and learn about them versus performing fertility rituals. You know, you can still receive pleasure and learn about your body and your partner's body no matter what sex you are or gender you are. And not actually have a child in middle school or high school, which is what happens when you teach kids just not to do it. Just abstain, don't wait till you're married, it's to have babies. And then there's also that conditioning of people who do happily grow up with those beliefs. I'm not saying that you should throw away your values, because in all reality, values are important to everybody, no matter where they come from. If that's what gets you through your day, then by all means, believe in whatever God you want to or need to believe in.
No,
let me finish.
There are way too many mothers driving off of bridges because the Lord told them to, chock full of a car of children.
Yeah, so that's a whole different situation.
You stop believing in all the gods.
No, I'm not saying that at all. If that's what you feel, that's cool. But when it comes to the realistic point of view is that you can have your values and not violate your beliefs and learn about your anatomy and learn about who you are and what you like and dislike. It's not a fucking offense or a crime for you to learn about your body with yourself. Or if you choose to share with it, if you have those values and you want to fucking wait, cool. That I respect that. If you don't, cool, I respect that. But I don't feel like there should be a morality to sexuality unless it gets to a point where it's hurting another person. There's so much of this black and white. There's so much of this, we need to apply morals and some type of fucking integrity code to things that bothers me, like cleaning. Just because you are an overly clean person, just because you are somebody who doesn't clean as much, you're not better or worse than another person. You know, that I know cleanliness is next to godliness, but to me, like, there's no moral compass to, you know, whether I'm going to fucking fold my laundry today.
But just think about that concept. Cleanliness is close to godliness, which unless you are worshiping the lobster that they are trying to build into their Leviathan god, is nothing. So cleanliness is getting you closer to being nothing.
That's such a crazy story.
Now, praise the Lord and pass the ammunition.
But have you seen that?
The lobster story you have to, oh my God.
Yeah, there is a cult.
No bisque.
that is
It's like, I don't want tomato in my lobster. I got you. I'm picking up what you're putting down, bro.
there is a
Basil?
cult
I think so.
that is building their own god. If you know about lobsters, they will keep continuously growing until they grow to a size where they can't molt anymore, and them being immobile is what kills them. These people are going to keep assisting a lobster in molting so we can get to
Jabba the Hutt level.
Dude, I was
So
like,
it's
imagine a
immortal, basically.
6-foot fucking lobster and trying to help it molt, and it's like, you think that claw is not going to fuck you up?
Right?
You'd have to have a rubber band the size of a
Snap you in
fucking car.
Shit, yeah.
And would it even be strong enough?
You better just cut its snapper off and let it grow a new one. 'Cause
And-
shit.
And if you have our interest in looking this up, it's literally called LeviathanLobsterGod.com.
Leviticus.
Wow.
No, you don't even understand about Leviticus.
Oh dear Lord. Why? And how come they don't just cut the tails off and enjoy the meal?
Wait, their thing is, we are a meme tank of creators with plans to create and worship our Leviathan Lobster God. Our mission is to help the environment through a series of interactive experiences. Do you accept the claw?
Cases for late-term abortion.
Fuck that. I joined the ant colony on Facebook for a while where you just like respond as like an entity of a fucking ant colony, and
Right.
that shit is insane. Like it was phenomenal.
It is interesting. I've always had that, I forget which one of the Mythbusters said it, but he said it best. I dismiss your reality and replace it with one of my own. And I
was
took
obsessed
that
with
as
that
a
show.
philosophy of my own. Yeah, I was obsessed with that. Like,
When they
screw
when
your
they
time.
made the giant shark for Shark Week, the giant robotic shark, it like made and also ruined my day.
It was like, this is sweet. Oh my god, I don't want to go out the ocean
Well,
ever again.
everyone knows I have a really weird robot phobia.
Yeah, robophobia is real.
And I
RoboCop
have
did it to
it.
you.
I do not trust robots, even though they are important to our society, and I get that they are necessary, and I get that they are helpful. But do I trust them? Never will I ever. Just consider me Will Smith from iRobot.
That's why she runs red lights. She doesn't even trust the little corner bot.
I don't run red lights.
I'm just playing.
I care about road safety.
Fuck that robot.
And that was Adam Savage.
Oh,
That said that.
Adam Savage said it. It wasn't Jamie. It was Adam. All right, sweet.
Well, I think I don't even know where we at. Let's see.
We are up there.
Okay, well, I think to close off, I'm going to talk about what the thing that honestly motivated me so much to even do this today, aside from listening to the news. I did some research on witches, which was super fucking fun.
Yes, I've been
Like-
on the edge of my seat since you said that shit. What the fuck?
Well, I was
You guys
watching.
get ready for a fucking surprise.
I was on TikTok, and this woman was talking about just like crazy historical events, and she was talking about like the image of witches riding brooms, and she was giving the history that essentially pleasure toys were sold out in the open to a certain extent for a long period of time, and then it got to a point where men felt threatened by these
Toys.
phalluses out on the market, so they
Took his job.
right exactly precisely so they eventually got to a point where they banned these sex toys, and women were like, you know what, we're gonna fuck brooms.
Wow,
It got
they're
to-
all witches.
No, there was like a police report that was like, you are buying more brooms than someone who needs to fucking clean with. Like, they were literally like, I know you're not cleaning this much, Carol.
Is that why it's still illegal to load
Goody
your
Proctor.
vacuum in Colorado?
Goody
Wait,
Proctor.
It's still illegal to loan your vacuum to your neighbor in Colorado.
Oh my god, I
That's
didn't
a
know that
real
was a
thing.
fucking
It is
thing.
still a thing. Yes, that is a old and still standing
Well,
law. But
I guess
What the
this
heck?
makes that make more sense.
I don't know, but vacuums were way later. Brooms have always been a fucking thing because, you know, you got to clean your ashes out from your fire, etc.
But the Harry Potter toy.
We'll get there. But yeah, so
Not safely, but swiftly.
Oh, swiftly. Fuck your Swiffer.
So yeah, I
Swifter.
mean, brooms in general got to a point where they were deemed as a more domesticated tool, which was gender roles, was a more feminine thing. Women used brooms to clean around the household, and that carried over to the female image of women in brooms.
You're leaving slug trails on the goddamn hardwood floor.
Oh God, this is not helping.
Well, and how brooms got to being a witch thing in general was they deemed it both a male and female object, because the wood handle represented a phallic object, whereas the bristles and the broom portion would represent, the top part of a vagina. I know the word usually, but substances. The mound of the vagina, where the pubic hair grows, the pubic bone area. So yes, they would exactly. So it was used in pagan rituals and even marriage rituals, the symbolism of jumping over a broom or dancing around a broom. It was a fertility ritual to help celebrate and promote good energy towards having a child and fertility on both aspects. So it was used from both ends of the spectrum in the pagan rituals to try and help be a representation of fertility. And then it carried over. I didn't find any evidence of this woman on TikTok who said that women were using broom handles and fucking them. I couldn't find that. But what I did find, however, was accounts of hallucinogenics being used with brooms. And I was like, huh?
Whoa.
Excuse me?
They're tripping O's.
Well, the thing is, we both know, as someone who has partaketh of it, substantive of hallucinogenesis. No, anything that's a hallucinogen usually will have an impact on your stomach. It can cause you to use the bathroom a lot.
Diuretic style.
Yeah, diuretic style, exactly.
Allegedly.
Many hallucinogens, including the ones that were found in these households, had an impact on your digestion and your intestine tract. So what they did was they ingested it through more vulnerable areas, sweat glands, which are usually in your armpits or your groin area. That's why people say you can taste soy sauce in your ball sack and shit. But they would they came across salves that had all kinds of things in it. All kinds of hallucinogens. Let me see. I had it all written down.
See, I knew y'all ladies was up to something with them Yanni steams.
What?
They was up to something. It was like, oh no, there's some CBD and some other stuff in there. We just gonna.
It kind of makes you wonder what was the actual intention behind the movie Bed Knobs and Broomsticks. Now,
I've never seen it,
It's a much deeper title than it.
The question is, Did ancient Catherine just frolic through a forest, bare bottoms, set in a patch of mushrooms, and just kept wondering why she kept having these fantastic goddamn visions?
I mean, that's possible if you don't know horticulture.
Yeah, there is.
But yeah,
chance.
So these brews that were created would be Deadly Nightshade, Headbane, Mandrake, Jimson Weed, and they would be a concoction mixed together. And I guess what they would do is slap them onto the broom handle and put it in their more intimate areas. So they're literally
kill you. What the fuck?
They literally are, using it to get high, get elevated, and I think, and that's what this. I went to a few different websites, including history.com, and
that brings the meaning to WAP.
So now I'm wondering why Morning Chaps has not cornered the field of LSD-laced condoms. How would you promote condoms more?
I mean, if you've ever had sex on a hallucinogen, that shit is intense. I tried it one time and I couldn't fucking do it. So it was too much. I was like, I need to have this journey on my own. I don't want you with me.
Spirit journey is for one. I got one ticket.
I got one ticket, bro. You do what you're gonna do over there. I'm gonna go take a shower and rub this fucking wall for 30 minutes.
Wow.
Remove yourself from the tarmac.
That is, yes. That is, it does give new ideas and thoughts to, a whole new world of, interaction.
Okay, look, I'm not saying that you should rub any type of hallucinogen on your vagina. I'm also not,
a nightshade.
or your
Those are deadly.
armpits. I'm also not saying that me and Dex are not going to experiment with this.
Nobody's allegedly saying anything at all. Allegedly.
No, but it was just a crazy story to me.
Don't use that deodorant. What the?
That the concept of witches riding brooms took all the way to the turn of them, just humans wanting to get fucked up, which is really the reality behind a lot of fucking things of being human.
They probably did think they were flying after that shit. I mean, wow.
Well, and so,
they
you
were
have...
flying. I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah, flying.
Okay, it's still not okay to sing "I Believe I Can Fly," is it?
No. Oh my God, it's not okay. I don't know if it'll ever be okay for you to support R. Kelly. But no, the realities of these ideas is that any of these confessions or anything that was recorded historically, a lot that was recorded were confessions by women who were being fucking tortured to find out whether they're witches or not, and men of the cloth who were, leading these investigations and questions and answers. So we don't necessarily know if there's a whole lot of truth to it. We don't know if it was just women being like, you know what? I'm tired of being tortured. Throw me in the bottom of a fucking lake or set me on fire. I'm a witch. Whatever, bro. Yeah, I fuck brooms. Like,
right. I'm a
whatever you want me to say.
Fucking fucker. Yes.
I was just trying to make dinner for my family, but yeah, I'm Goody Proctor and I let the devil into my vagina. Whatever.
And, a lot of those people were on substances with their bread. The bread
my God.
was rotted ergot making LSA.
Yes, that's one of the how LSD was even like the experimentations behind
the whole
finding
witch trial was possibly behind the
bread in the yes,
but...
because the type of ingredients they used to make bread were a form of LSD. So people were getting fucked off bread until they changed the formula. But yeah, that's the thing. That was actually one of the things I read.
Witches on brooms. That's
right. It was bread as the offender, but fuck women, I guess.
All drugs matter, sir. All drugs matter. That's terrible.
I just thought it was a fun, and then going through this wormhole of broom fucking, I did see that the early 2000s Harry Potter toy, they had a Nimbus 2000 toy, and I remember when it came out because I was like, why do I need that? I didn't know about it to this degree, but I wish I had found out. There was this time frame that they had the Nimbus 2000 broom, and it had sound effects to it, but it also vibrated with battery operation. Yes.
There's some hot words for you.
So the guy who did the fucking report he did a review on the product on I think it was Amazon or something. And he's like, yeah, this is a fun toy for your kid if you take the batteries out, because the vibrations on this fucking toy change things in my household for my kid. Like my daughter, my daughter has questions now, so it was a very risque review. And I was just like, holy shit.
Harry Potter is more dangerous to your children's sexuality than Lil Nas X.
Oh my God.
Harry Potter or Harry Twatter?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So I saw this toy, and then people were going crazy in the comments. They're like, "Oh my God," and this one guy's like, "Oh my, teaching kids about masturbation from the ages 5 to 10. That's just not okay, in my opinion." And I'm like, "What is it? When is the age where you're supposed to find out about your body?" Because my only problem is my kid touching themselves in front of company. If you want to go do that in your room, please explore your own parts on your own time. Right. But at the dinner table is not the right time. I don't care how old you are.
I'm having my book club and you run, "Hey, Mom, right? Look at this."
So I learned something today, Mom. You want to know how many nerve endings are in the clitoris? Not right in this room, my dear.
Let's not discuss that today. or ever, but I trust that you know now.
And again, when those people go that hard on it, I'm kind of thinking you need to seek professional help because you are getting turned on by that thought, and you need to stop.
And that's a normal
You need
thing.
to be stopped.
I've been a nanny before. I've babysat like practically since I was 10 years old. I think I started babysitting, and little boys especially. I don't know what the fuck it is. I've seen it in girls, but little boys especially like touching their fucking penis, and it's so. It's gravity. It's I guess I wouldn't know.
Little boy.
It's always been a weird thing, but recently, in my more recent ventures of nannying, I just told him, I'm like, you know what? Now is not the time. I appreciate you want to learn about what's going on with you, but it's time for lunch. Let's like mac and cheese. Let's go play with chalk afterwards. If you want to go do that in the bathroom or whatever you want to do, cool. But don't do it in front of my kid, or don't do it, because we don't want to see that.
Anyone, yes.
Nobody wants to see that unless
time.
you get permission. Don't fucking do it in front of somebody, So take that in the other room. Thank you.
Yeah,
and I think that should be the more realistic approach to it. Instead of shaming somebody for learning about their body, just like we have the head, shoulders, knees and toes song. You should want your child to know about every part of their anatomy. Like you should know about every part of your anatomy.
Just imagine saying like, look, I'm only 13. I can't know what fingernails are for yet. Mom said I can't know that.
Right?
It's fucking weird.
That's a little too awkward. I mean, I would only put one slight caveat on that earlier statement. It was quoted to, just explore orally, but with the self-touching, you're going to touch yourself anyway. You touch your face between 1,000 and 10,000 times a day, so that's going to happen. You're going to touch yourself, but I would just add, just temporarily, because you don't know yet, no butt stuff. But that's just because you don't know yet.
Well, no.
And the concept is stay away from the full-on penetration. Just learn yourself, because it's, in my opinion, essential to learn who you are before you decide on anything else in the world, or let the world decide who you are because of what their previous expectations are. Learn yourself and then take it from there.
Take away the mystique of the human body.
It shouldn't be that mysterious. You're human. But no, honestly, what you're saying,
just like,
we laugh about it, but when I was working in an adult retail store, you would be surprised how many people over my fucking lifetime I have taught about anal, period. Because if it's not something taught in sex education, it's not something people learn about. It's something that's kind of like a forbidden or taboo or an embarrassing topic. But the reality is
dangerous, and for kids, you're still not learning yet. So
no, I agree with you.
Be cautious.
Education wise, if you don't have the education behind anal sex, then you should learn about it before
approaching.
It's something that could be very harmful to you, and something that is not always easy to do. It's painful, but it can be pleasurable. So like I'm not trying to make this weird. I'm just education wise, if you should learn about your body and your limitations, what you want and what you don't want. And sometimes it's hard to learn about those things with a partner. It is. Because sometimes you might learn something about yourself that you didn't know, that you don't fucking like, and you don't want to associate that with a partner.
Yeah, some things you need to learn on your own. And it's it seems to be the most difficult thing in humankind right now, but getting in touch with, not just actually touching, but in touch with yourself. It seems to be near taboo.
You getting in touch with yourself. Knowledge is goddamn power. I would not have been able to scumbag as many times as I had if those women had more education about their bodies.
No, that's
the
fair.
bullshit that I got away with.
Terrible message, but I get the moral. It's a conundrum, but it's a morality.
No, I feel you. Blue balls has never been a narrative that worked for me. I'm like, that's not a thing. Go jerk off in the bathroom if it's that bad.
Oh, no, it wasn't me. It was like, I have to do this if you want to experience this.
Yeah, no.
Again, I did it when I was young, so I don't have to do it now as an adult.
No,
and if you don't understand that shit, you are easily duped.
No, it's true. It's true. I had to have some very explicit things happen to me before I had the recognition that I don't have to do this with you because my vibrator does it and it plugs into the wall. It won't die.
And along with that,
1 minute 6 seconds.
And along with that, there was a woman who was trying to educate women, saying, "Don't just learn this part of the Kegel because you were told it'll help you in this area. There's a squeeze and there's a release that you need to learn."
Yeah. And that's for any muscle that you're exercising. Right. There's ways to overexert your muscles.
But who is going to teach you that?
Not anyone in school, especially not in Texas.
Yeah, that sounds like a terrible situation.
Mom, can you tell me about my vagina? Well, once you meet somebody that has a lot of money, you'll be able to take that money with it. What? That's pretty much the most education women get.
About vagina.
I shit you not.
I feel like I didn't get that one.
Didn't catch that one? See, look, that's even less.
But yeah, honestly, I think we've gone through and covered all the things that my brain has been, running around in my little cogwheel of thoughts. And I think I'm going to close this off because this is kind of a lengthy one. So I want to say thank you for tuning in, everybody, and I appreciate everyone who listens. This has been Diana.
In Bison. That's what we're going with right now.
In Bison.
Who do you want to be tonight?
Dexter Field. Mental morality is better than physical regression's morning shafts.
All right,
I had to put a title inside of a name inside of a nickname.
Cathartic Ruination.
He just inception his own name.
Yes.
Did. I was like, it just materialized in front of me. Thank you for tuning in, everyone, and take care. Until next time.
Good night.